Jason, one other question we had for you was that we know you've been working in journalism your entire life. You've probably encountered a lot of famous people in previous jobs. How has Yao Ming been different compared to a lot of other famous people that you might have encountered in your career?
I think the thing that strikes me is not how he's really different, but he's very much the same. Sort of going back to that whole idea of him not putting himself above anybody else. You know, when you get to know Yao, it doesn't feel like you're talking to someone who's on a pedestal anymore. You know, I mean, he comes across as just very normal, down to earth. And I mean, I guess that is in a way a difference, but also sort of a similarity. I mean, I think that when you're in his position, just it's human nature to be somewhat aloof, because you always have so many people requesting your time, and you know, Yao doesn't play that card at all. You know, he's somebody who, like I said, patiently takes the time, gives thoughtful answers. He could easily just sort of be, you know, I don't want to deal with this today, so I'm going to give you one-sentence answers and move on with life. But he thinks about them, and again, you know, having to do everything in both English and Chinese, it definitely makes my job easier, because you know that if you're going to do a story pertaining and relating to Yao, that you've got a guy who's going to give you honest, thoughtful, and oftentimes, you know, very provoking thoughts.
Jason, I know you've been in a pretty fortunate position here working with the Rockets for the past year, that you've come across probably a lot of Chinese media who have lived in Houston to cover Yao full time. I was just curious, compared to American journalists or journalists you've met from other countries, how unique has it been to get to know how the Chinese journalists go about their job and how they cover Yao?
Well, you know, I guess one of the things that I should mention right at the top is that my Mandarin pretty much sucks, so I don't, it's hard for me to know exactly how they cover him, just because I can't read what's written about him, you know. But the one thing I can speak to, and this goes back to Yao, is that it's interesting the relationship between the two of them. You know, if you're here when he's playing for pre-games, you know, you've got usually the Chinese media that's lined up watching him warm up, and he'll sit down there and, you know, he'll talk to them for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. When he goes back to the locker room after he's done warming up, you've got a whole host of Chinese media who are just there around his locker, there to talk to him, nobody else. And he talks to them, you know, before the game. So it's interesting. You don't see any other athletes who receive that sort of attention, but in turn give that attention back. And I mean, it's, I guess in a way, maybe not terribly surprising, just because I'm sure that there's a comfort level there with Yao, to have people there who you can, you know, speak his language with, and just the familiarity that breeds. But you know, it is interesting. One of the, like, really cool things for me is that I've made a lot of friends in the Chinese media, so I can't really tell you, you know, how they cover him, but I can tell you that there are a lot of good people who are covering Yao over here, and that I've been fortunate enough to meet and spend some time with, and that's been really enjoyable.
Great. Jason, thanks so much for your time today. We really appreciate it, and we'll continue to follow you on Rockets.com.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.